Mark ends the gospel as he began it. These are sort of bookends at the beginning and end of the gospel. In chapter 1, Jesus is declared to be the Son of God by his Father. In chapter 16, he's declared to be the Son of God by the Roman centurion. There's a human echo of the divine voice. In chapter 1, the heavens are ripped open. That's actually the word that's used. The sky is torn open at his baptism. In chapter 15, the veil, the temple veil, is ripped open. It's the same word is used for the ripping of the heavens at his baptism, is used for the ripping of the temple curtain at his death. So that immediately when you see that kind of thing, you want to start to look for connections between his baptism and his crucifixion, and the sky being torn open and the curtain being torn open. Okay? What happens when Jesus dies on the cross? If the temple curtain is torn open, and we've already had a passage in Mark's gospel where the sky is torn open, what does that mean? It means now we're going to have access to the heavenly sanctuary. What you do then is you take the whole book of Hebrews and you insert it into that, because that's what Hebrews is all about, is the opening of the heavenly sanctuary to us through Christ, through this new and living way he's opened up for us by his death. And of course, it's our baptisms. What happens at your baptism? At your baptism, the sky was torn open as well. Water fell on you from above. A hole was punched in that heavenly sea, so now you can enter up into the heavenly most holy place. There are all kinds of connections here that you can make. In chapter 1, Jesus is tempted by Satan in the wilderness. In chapter 15, he's tempted 3 times to come down from the cross. In chapter 1, John the Baptist goes before Jesus, preparing the way of the Lord. In chapter 16, the angel at the empty tomb tells the women, Jesus is going before you to Galilee. He's going to prepare their way. So John the Baptist prepared Jesus' way. Jesus prepares our way. There's a symmetry to the whole book. I don't think the symmetry in Mark is as obvious as, say, Luke. I mean, Luke's symmetry from beginning to end is so clear, with everything that happens in the temple and the singing and rejoicing in the temple at the beginning, and then all that happens at the end after his resurrection. But Mark's got symmetry too, and it should not be overlooked. There is a pattern to the healing miracles in Mark. A really fascinating commentator on Mark is Austin Farrar. He brings out a number of these things, and I think some of these are pretty cool, really, when you start to think them through and what they mean. There are various healing miracles in Mark's gospel that really serve as anchor points and really explain what his gospel is all about. We've already seen how the healing miracles really are signs of what Jesus will do for his whole church. But this is interesting, how the miracles and the disciples connect with one another. In Mark chapter 1, 4 disciples are called, followed by 4 healing miracles. Then Jesus calls another disciple in chapter 2, Levi, and that's followed by a single healing miracle in chapter 3. So you got 4 disciples called, followed by 4 miracles, then another disciple called, followed by another healing miracle. So you're starting to pick up on the rhythms of Mark's gospel, what he's doing. Then in chapter 3, the 12 apostles are listed. 4 of the names have already been given, but 8 names in the list haven't been given yet. And following that are 8 healing miracles. Each disciple who is called by name is matched with a healing miracle for an individual. And in Mark's gospel, it's always individuals who are healed. So there's a 1-to-1 ratio. For every disciple called by name, there's a healing miracle to go with it. And I've never... I don't know if you can really line up the healing miracles with particular disciples, how that would work, but there's still a symmetry here. There's a symmetry here that I think would make Flannery O'Connor jealous. I mean, O'Connor and Tolkien in their fictional stories have a hard time creating this kind of symmetry, and here it is in Mark's gospel. And you really start to see the point when you reflect on it. When Jesus calls you to be a disciple, he also promises to heal you and restore you. There's a 1-to-1 correspondence. If Jesus has called you to be his disciple, then he is also going to heal you and restore you so that you can follow him and serve him faithfully. Calling to discipleship and restoration to wholeness go together. Disciples are healed, and the healed are disciples. There's something else interesting here. In the first part of the book, all the healing miracles have to do with the body. We could say the body from the neck down. Jesus heals seizures, fever, leprosy of the skin. He heals a man with a withered hand. He heals a man with paralytic legs. He heals a woman with a flow of blood. These are all bodily problems. Hands, feet, skin, all get healed. You put all these miracles together, and what you have is a new body, a restored body. All these different parts of the body are being healed. You put them together, you have a whole body, a renewed body, a restored body. That series of miracles then culminates with a resurrection story, the resurrection of a girl, which is obviously a complete bodily healing. Jairus' daughter is raised from the dead in chapter 5. Then it starts over. In the very next chapter, you have the account of John the Baptist being beheaded. It's out of chronological order, but this is where Mark places it. Following that, Jesus does a series of miracles, but every single miracle Jesus performs after the beheading of John the Baptist has to do with healing the head. He heals deaf, mutes. He heals a couple of blind men. So eyes, mouths, and ears get healed. John gets beheaded, and Jesus immediately sets about healing heads. You take all those miracles together that Jesus does after the beheading of John, and what do you have? You have a healed head. And of course, that cycle of miracles culminates with another resurrection, the resurrection of Jesus, when the head of the church is raised from the dead. All the miracles leading up to the resurrection point to it. So in the first part of Mark's gospel, you've got a healed body. In the second part of Mark's gospel, you've got a healed head. Now, if you have a healed body and a healed head, what do you have if you put them together? You have a complete human being who's been restored from head to toe. You have a resurrection. You take all the miracles together, you put them all together, you have a resurrection. All the miracles Jesus does for his disciples, the bodily healings and then the head healings, put them together, you have a healed body, you have a resurrection body. I mean, again, things like this don't happen by accident. Mark had lots of healing miracles to choose from. He chose to include these, and in this particular way, in this particular order. Altogether, there are 13 healing miracles in Mark's gospel. Of course, Jesus' resurrection is the 14th, okay, 7 times 2. And of course, this is because all healing is summed up in him and found in him. There are other literary devices in Mark's gospel. Mark loves to use the number 3. Things happen in threes in Mark's gospel. 3 voices declare Jesus to be the Son of God at the beginning, middle, and end of the gospel, the baptism, transfiguration, and crucifixion. 3 voices declare Jesus to be the Son of God. 3 times Jesus predicts his death. 3 times the disciples don't get it. There are 3 exorcisms. 3 times it's pointed out that the disciples fail to understand his parables. 3 times Jesus says the disciples' hearts have been hardened. There are 3 boat scenes. 3 times he gives instructions to the disciples to keep awake and watch and pray. 3 times the disciples fall asleep in the Garden of Gethsemane. Peter denies Jesus 3 times. Jesus is accused 3 times before the Sanhedrin. Pilate has 3 questions for the crowd when Jesus is on trial. And his death on the cross is reported in 3-hour intervals. Okay, these triads are like hammer blows that nail down certain key truths and themes in the gospel.